Good morning, Keith Tebow at FRC Media. Hope your Wednesday is going well. I'm joined as I am every Wednesday with the mayor of the city of Fall River, Mayor Paul Coogan. Mayor, how are you today?
Doing great, Keith. How about you?
I'm doing well, boy. I tell you, the weather has just been spectacular. Although I think we need a little rain. We had a thunderstorm last night, so that may help a little bit. But I know we need some rain. But the weather, you cannot complain about the weather. It's been a fantastic summer thus far,
Right.
weather-wise. I want to just get a couple of updates this week. Last night, the Fall River City Council Vice President Michelle Dion put in a resolution that's going to be discussed before the Finance Committee about spending some more ARPA money on water and sewer projects. The council actually has the chance to spend money from Bristol County that could go toward this. I know we've talked about this before about how ARPA money can be spent. Are you planning on possibly spending more money in water and sewer? As part of that resolution is also asking you to spend another $9 million on water and sewer projects.
Well, that was the ask last night, but right now we have 20, I think it's almost $22 million in grant requests that would go to water and sewer projects across the city. We've already given them 9 million. We made a promise for an additional four. I'm, waiting to see what the council does with their request for 11 million. I think right now, obviously, water is a big factor in Fall River. At the same time, we pay for water, and we our rates go up every year. So again, anything we can do to help the ratepayers is not a bad thing. But at the same time, there's a lot of needs in the city of Fall River. There's a lot of other things we could be working on now. We have obviously public safety issues, DCM issues, infrastructure, roads, sidewalks. These are all things people look at too. I mean, we obviously have a good renovation plan going in our parks right now, but there are things the city needs in addition to water, and water is obviously right at the top of the list. So we'll see how that plays out. As I told the council, that's the money from the county that we need them to work with us on. They have five councils have to sign the request for funds from the county. So again, we'll work with them and see where we end up. I'm not going to commit to anything right now because if infrastructure or federal or state aid comes down in the form of water, we may be able to use money for other things also.
That actually reminds me of something else that's been going on quite often here in the city, and it's sort of a double-edged sword, and I'll get to it. There's a lot of street projects going on. There's a lot of infrastructure work. That's not just water that's being done. I know Liberty Utilities is putting in some gas lines across the city. The city's continuing to upgrade, the streets that need to be repaired, and that's all good news in general. But it's also a double-edged sword because as much as they're doing work which is needed, you also will hear complaints from people when streets are shut down. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, isn't it? But it's great to see that work being done as well.
Right. It's I guess it's part of the circle of life, I'll call it, because we get calls the streets are bad, that we have a horrible pothole, this is all bumps. Okay, let's fix it. Then we'll get a call, the street's closed, what are you doing? I can't park. And you're like, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. But I think we're going to keep going ahead with the repairs. I think long term, that is much better for the city. I rode around the other day with Danny Aguirre, the city engineer, for about an hour in the afternoon, looking at about 10 or 12 streets that are on our list for the next set of upgrades. These streets were in dire need of repair. They've been let go far too long, and I do believe that in general, the public wants you to do the streets.
Yep.
Some of the impatient people will let you know, but at the same time, long term, that's what you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. They put up with the temporary inconvenience to get the job done and have the streets a lot better shape. Another thing I want to bring up, actually, sort of a personal question I have. Last week, my parents still live in Fall River, and I was visiting them last week. They live off Bedford Street, and for a good 10-15 minute stretch. Looking outside, there was, someone on a dirt bike doing wheelies up and down. That made me think about the issue of the ATVs and that type of activity going on. I know there's something before the city council. Is there any updates that you can provide?
Yeah, the other day, the Corporation Counsel, Alan Rumsey, was in here talking about the tweaking of the resolution that's going to be done by the city council for ATVs and changing the ordinances. A lot of those laws are already on the books. They just have to be enforced properly. I think we've confiscated 4 or 5 bikes already this year from people. We are asking the public to help us if they know of a garage where they're warehousing these bikes before they go out riding. We'd love to know where that is. If we get complaints, we try to address them. I know, we're under a no chase policy because we don't want to see, the regular citizens get hurt by a police chasing a guy who's just so reckless he won't even put a plate on a bike. So we have to be careful, but at the same time, it's just a statewide trend that these people go out riding around with dirt bikes and off-road vehicles on the public streets because they think it's funny or something. But again, we're going to get a handle on it, and we're going to work hard to stop it.
Yeah, it's also a nationwide trend. I happened to be at a conference a few weeks ago in the Midwest, and there were issues there as well. We saw
Oh,
that right in downtown, yeah, that big city in the Midwest as well. So it happens all across the country. A couple of items I want to bring up. Actually, I'm courtesy of our friends at WSAR. They interviewed you earlier this week or late last week on a couple of issues. One has to do with the issuance of the non-opposition letters for recreational marijuana facilities. The former mayor had approved a number of those licenses, and a number of businesses have opened up. One last week, featuring run by former Mayor Will Flanagan. But there are others that are still left in limbo. What can you tell us about what can be done on whether these people are going forward or not, and what can the city do to kind
Yeah,
of tell them to, fish or cut bait, if you will?
right. I think a few of the people who have done nothing with the letters, we're going to be able to pull those letters back and start over. But that is a problem. We have I think there's 14 letters out there, Keith, and we know people that have obviously moved forward with theirs. I think there's like there's 3 commercial retail adult sale places in Fall River right now. There's one medical one in addition to them down north. But again, if there's 14 letters out there, I don't know if Fall River could withstand 14, retail establishments. I don't think 4 is the number, but I don't think 14 is the number either. So we're going to have to come to some kind of a resolution on these inactive letters that have been given out to people during the career administration. The only thing I've done during my administration is a couple of transfers. If someone was going to locate here and we allowed them to move, as was the one you just described with the former mayor. If someone was the owner, we might have allowed a transfer on the license, but we have issued no new licenses in any way, shape, or form. And we're going to get to a point shortly here where we find out exactly who's going to fish or cut bait and invest in the city of Fall River, or we're going to try to find a way to get the licenses or those letters back off them.
Is that an easy process to take the letters back? I mean, was there any date stamp that they needed to do something by a certain
Yeah, there
time?
was. There's a time limit in there, and then it turns into, well, what did you do? And they say, well, we've had a plan going on. We're renovating this building. We're doing that, but they haven't put a nail in the wall or taken out a wall or paved a parking lot. They've planned things, but under the law, is that enough going forward that they have taken action on their license? And those are the kind of things you hit into. We've had that, at least in one case where someone was talking about what they've done, but if you drive by the building, you can't see a thing. So we're working on it, and it'll settle out shortly, I'm sure.
Yeah. Also this week, in speaking with WSAR, you had mentioned when you first ran for mayor 4+ years ago that you were interested in probably only serving 2 terms to stabilize the city based on the circumstances surrounding the former mayor. And in speaking with WSAR, you may be thinking, obviously you say one thing, things change.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts right now? As we're still a year away for another city election, but are you thinking about possibly running for a 3rd term?
Well, again, I've been in this ridiculous situation with COVID for a long time, which definitely stunted all projects and things moving forward. And on the other side, it, gave us the blessing to the curse, which was the ARPA money, which allows us to do things. So I'm thinking about it right now. I mean, people in Fall River are funny. I'm 6 months into my 2nd term, and they're all concerned about what's going to happen next year. I mean, I'm here every day working on things that have to be done today or this week or next week. So it's kind of different for me. I never planned that long when I was in education. I'd be in the middle of the junior year for the kids, and I wouldn't be thinking, what are we going to do when they're seniors? It was get through the junior year, and so I look at it that way. We have a lot of work to do. I'm not closing the door to it, and it's really, it's really different for me. I'm out a lot in the community. I think, I do a lot of visibility things. I'm always out and about, and people are just really nice to myself and my wife. It's really a weird sensation because I don't think I'm worthy of half the things some of these people say, but at the same time, they're very gracious to me, and they they tell us that they like what's going on in this city. They like the fact that it's steady leadership. We have a really good relationship going with the city council right now, the state legislature. Our congressman's a phone call away. Um, we just have built a number of very positive relationships, which seem to be paying off for the city of Fall River right now. I mean, what the future holds, we'll find out together. But at the same time, we're really doing a lot of good things in this city, and we're going forward with some massive plans, whether it's Route 79, our school system, our public safety. So we're going to be fine. We just have to keep working together. And as far as Paul Coogan will make the right decision at the right time. I hope that's what we're going to do. I mean, I think I look at the city and I know there's a lot of work to do. And I know going forward, with the team in place that we have across the board now, we can get a lot of this stuff done.
As you know, as soon as the election is over, the next day they ask you whether you're running for reelection, not
I know.
necessarily a few months
It's
later.
a
That's Fall
wild
River
phenomenon.
politics.
It's a wild
That,
phenomenon.
that's what it is. All right, Mayor, as always, thank you for your time. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the weather again, and we'll talk next week.
You too, Keith. Thank you.
All right, thanks. And thank you for joining us here on FRC Media. Have a great rest of your week.